The first graph we have here is the market for used books. And as you can see here, the equilibrium price is $6. The quantity supplied and quantity demanded are both 150. And this is an efficient market with no tax. The consumer surplus is the area above the price and below the demand curve, labeled CS on the graph. This area is bigger, obviously, with no tax. And to do the math, you do 1/2 base times height, which is 4 for the height, and 150 for the base times 1/2 equals 300. In this scenario, the producer surplus is also going to be 300 because 4 for the height, 150 for the base, obviously, because quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are the same, so the 150 is going to be the same for both. 4 is going to be the same for both because that's just how it worked out. And 1/2, so 4 times 150 times 1/2 equals 300. We're going to have 300 for the consumer surplus, $300 for the producer surplus. And there's no tax, so there's no government revenue. This is pretty much a free market, so the total surplus will be 600 on the market for used books. Alright, so we're going to use the same market, but we're going to place a tax from the government, and it's down here. So let's just zoom in here. A little bit more confusing this time, but we're going to explain it real nice for you. So here we go. Used books, again, the government has instituted a tax, so the consumer surplus is now the area above the price buyers pay and below the equilibrium, which is just this little triangle right here, not very big, labeled CS in blue. The producer surplus, likewise, is actually not likewise, it's opposite. It's below the price sellers receive and above the supply curve. And I actually labeled these opposite. Anyways, we're good. And it's just this little triangle right here. Obviously, the surplus of both the consumer and producer are cut into with this tax. It is a pretty big tax of $5 per cell. And with this tax goes into a place, the quantity supplied is going to drop from 150 to 400. That's the quantity supplied and demanded. It's going to drop. New equilibrium will be met as the tax is instituted. It will change from 150 to 40 in this scenario. So the numbers, the consumer surplus is, so from the price buyers pay is $8.50 to, like, the top willingness to pay is $10. There's a $1.50 difference times the 40, which is the total amount sold. So that's 150 per sale and 40 sold times the 1/2. Obviously, when you're calculating here the triangle, it's going to give you 30. So $30 to consumer surplus, not nearly as much as we got without the tax. The producer surplus, it's going to be $3.50 will be the price sellers receive. $2 will be the lowest amount the producers are willing to stay in the market. And that will be $1.50 surplus per sale, and they have 40 is the new equilibrium, so $1.50 times 40 times 1/2 equals $30. And obviously their excess money is getting cut into now because there's a tax. So the tax wedge is also added into the total surplus now because some of the total like things things, that's a terrible word, some of the money in the market is going to the government, so we're going to add that. So this is a rectangle, so we're just going to do length times width, which is going to be $5, obviously, with length, because the tax wedge, obviously, in this bright red here, the rectangle is between 850 and 350. It's the area between price sellers pay, where the price sellers receive and the price buyers pay. So that's going to be $5 per of tax revenue per unit sold. We have 40 units sold total, and there's no what happened there. It's just length times width. It's $5 times 40 sold. It'd be $200 of tax revenue in this market of used books from the tax the government instituted. And the total surplus, you just add them right up. 200 plus 30 plus 30 equals $260 of total surplus. Now, what's not part of the total surplus is deadweight loss. These are the buyers and sellers that are dropping out of the market because, you know, that new price with tax included, the sellers 350 is just not enough for them to make a profit, and for the buyers 850, it's just not crack-a-lacking for them. So the deadweight loss is this area in green, this triangle. So you can see when the supply curve shifts from S1 to S2, that shift is going to create that triangle. In S1, these customers and these sellers are happy staying in the market. But when the supply curve shifts, obviously as a direct result of the tax, you are going to have people leaving the market. This deadweight loss is going to be larger in magnitude than the tax revenue that you're going to collect. All right, taxes always create inefficiency. Not always to say they're not always a good thing. Sometimes they can be a good thing, but that's just a byproduct of what you're going to have when you think about you're instituting a tax. Something you're going to have to kind of put off to the side and think about for a little bit, you know, before you just go ahead and do it. So the deadweight loss, you got still, it's the same exact length as the tax wedge there, from 350 to 850. It's $5 or just 5. I don't know how else you want to say it, but and then the base, right, going right smack dab through the middle, is a change in quantity from 150 to 40. That's 110. So 110 times 5 times 1/2, because it is a triangle. That's down here. Math is down here. Below the total surplus, you got deadweight loss. 110 times 5 times 1/2. It's going to give you 275 of a deadweight loss. So that is like the inefficiency in the market, the deadweight loss. Hopefully that was understandable. The deadweight loss is the buyers and sellers leaving the market. Hopefully that makes sense. And that should be good for that one. Yeah. I'll look at that graph. Let it soak into your memory so you can retain that nutritious information. Alright, we're going down here. And we're changing it up. Now we're selling Persian kitchenware. Hooray. Alright, so let's chop it up, explain this real nice for you. So we got, in this scenario, we're saying the demand for Persian kitchenware is pretty elastic because, you know, like, it's more of a luxury, more of a niche item, more of something you can or can't go without with, depending on the price. Maybe it's like a more luxury item, so depending on the price, and if the tax is instituted, then, you know, the buyers are gonna easily like not buy it just because it's a luxury item. They don't need it to carry on their lives. But the suppliers, maybe the supplies won't inelastic due to the fact that it's not real easy to make more. You know, maybe it's more ornate. They were made a long time ago, so it's the supply we have is the supply we have. You know, we can't really add more or less to the total number we have very easily, at least. So that will make the supply more inelastic, and supply is more inelastic because, well, yeah, supply is more inelastic. I was gonna say something else, but it just blocked my mind. Supply is more inelastic, so we'll just move on there. So here we are. The price buyers pay will be $10.50. The price sellers receive is gonna be all the way down at $4. Consumer surplus is that tiny triangle. Producer surplus, the tiny triangle on the bottom. Again, consumer surplus above the new price, below the demand curve. Producer surplus below sellers receive, and above the supply curve. This little triangle is obviously the tax again, cuts into the surplus of consumers and producers. Yeah, we still have 51%. We're good. So you see that because the buyers are more easily able to drop out of the market, the burden of the tax incidence, all right, is going to be held on the suppliers because they're kind of like stuck in the market whether they like it or not. You know, what I was going to say earlier is that they can't easily make more. Yeah, I already said that actually. All right, let's go through this. They can't easily make more. The supply is inelastic. We already got to that. So the tax is a $6.50 tax, and only 50 cents of that is going to be on the buyers. They only have to pay 50 cents more. The sellers are going to have to pay $6 more for this tax because the supply is inelastic. It's way more inelastic than the elastic demand curve. The price is going to be on the burden. The vast majority of the burden of the tax will be on the suppliers. The deadweight loss, in this case, the deadweight loss is actually going to be smaller than if both demand and supply curves were elastic. Because one of them is inelastic, deadweight loss is smaller, simply because some of the suppliers, because it's inelastic, have to stay in the market. What elasticity measures is how rapidly consumers and producers change to changes in the market. And because in an elastic curve you're not changing that much, well, taxes, that's what they do. They spur changes in the market, but because those changes in the market aren't reacted to by, in this case, at least the suppliers, they're not, on their end at least, the suppliers are going to they're going to stay in. And you can also see, we can actually, first time editing this, we might have to keep the one S there because it's right in the middle of the highlight. But you see this, let's change the color. Probably like slice pink. This line going right here, that's the dividing line in the deadweight loss between the consumers and the producers. So let's get rid of that. Below that black line is still in deadweight loss. This is the consumers dropping out. The buyers is, let's highlight it just for fun. This part right here, color that in, below that $10 price, that original equilibrium price, that's all of the buyers dropping out. Above, switch that to yellow. That's the little area of the deadweight loss that the suppliers are dropping out. So you can see in the graph that the vast majority of the total number of people dropping out are the buyers. The sellers, most of them are staying in that little area of yellow I just highlighted, the small number of suppliers that are dropping out. They can't easily drop out because, again, due to the inelastic supply curve. the consumers and buyers, they can drop out. You know, Persian kitchenware, it's elastic, so they can easily drop out. The sellers, they cannot. They're the inelastic. They're kind of losing in this scenario. They both lose because their surplus decreases, but in this case, the inelastic supply curve, the suppliers, most of them are going to stay in. The buyers have more freedom. They can easily drop out of the market, and that's why the tax wedge, most of it is that purple region where the buyers drop out. Just some of it right here. That's the sellers. That little yellow region. And hopefully that makes sense. That the inelasticity, is that a word? Inelasticity? Inelasticity, let's go with it, of the supply curve makes for just a small portion of the deadweight loss to be attributed to suppliers because they don't easily react to changes in the market. Make sense? I think that's all. So